The grand chambers of the Galactic Council fell silent. 12 massive seats arranged in a circle held beings of various forms. Some looked almost like smoke contained in clear shells. Others resembled tall insects with multiple eyes. A few appeared nearly human, but with skin colors no human could have. Deep purples and blues that seemed to glow from within. These were the Elders, the oldest and wisest beings in the known universe. For over 10,000 years, they had guided the affairs of countless worlds. Nathan Clark stood in the center of their circle, trying not to show his nervousness. As the ambassador for the Zinthari Empire, one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy, he was used to important meetings. But being called before all 12 elders at once was rare. "It is decided," announced Elder Mox, whose crystalline body sparkled as it spoke. "The species known as humans shall be observed, but never directly challenged." Nathan shifted uncomfortably. "May I ask why, honored elders?" "They control only a small region of space. Their technology is still developing." Elder Thune, a being of pure energy contained in a special suit, floated forward. "You have not seen what we have seen, Ambassador. The humans resolved the Proxima Centauri dispute last month, yes?" "They did," Nathan admitted. "The border conflict had been expected to last years. Instead, Earth forces had ended it in days. 3 Zinthari cruisers against 1 human vessel," Elder Thune continued. "Your military predicted an easy victory. Instead, the humans adapted their shields mid-battle to reflect your weapons back at you. No species has ever done this so quickly." Another elder, shaped like a tall, thin humanoid with 6 arms, added, "They are dangerous not because of their current strength, but because of how quickly they learn and adapt. Challenge them, and they grow stronger. Leave them alone, and perhaps they will mature beyond their warlike ways." Nathan bowed his head. "I will bring your command to my people." As he left the council chambers, his mind raced. The Zinthari had been watching humans with interest since they first developed faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. Most new species took centuries to expand beyond their home system. Humans had colonies on 17 worlds already. Back on his ship, Nathan prepared his report for the Zinthari High Command. Should he emphasize the Elders' concerns, or downplay them? The Zinthari military leaders were already nervous about human expansion toward their territory. His communication screen lit up. "Ambassador Clark, we have an urgent message from Fleet Admiral Winters." Olivia Winters appeared on screen, her blue skin making her silver uniform appear even brighter. "Ambassador, I trust the council meeting went well." "The elders have issued a command regarding humans," Nathan said carefully. "They believe we should avoid challenging them directly." Admiral Winters frowned. "Interesting timing. Our border patrols have detected a human vessel approaching the Keldari system." Nathan felt his heart beat faster. Keldari was rich in rare minerals the Zinthari needed. Are they claiming it? Not yet, but they're scanning everything. If they discover the richness of the system, they surely will. The Admiral's expression hardened. "We cannot allow that. The resources there are vital to our defense systems." The Elders' command was very clear, Nathan warned. "The Elders sit safely in their chambers," Winters replied. "They don't have humans expanding toward their borders." She straightened her uniform. "I've dispatched Captain Russell on the imminent dawn to intercept them. He will politely but firmly encourage them to leave." Nathan felt a chill. "Admiral, I must insist. Your diplomatic concerns are noted, Ambassador, but the security of the Empire comes first." The screen went dark. Nathan stared at the empty screen. The Elders had given one command about humanity: never challenge them. And already, the Zinthari were preparing to ignore it. He could only hope Captain Russell would handle the situation with care. But deep down, Nathan knew this was just the beginning of trouble. Commander Daniel Wright stood on the bridge of the Earth Alliance vessel Dauntless. Through the large viewing window, he watched the stars drift by as his ship moved deeper into the unexplored system. "Commander, I'm picking up unusual mineral readings from the 4th planet. said Dr. Amanda Hayes. She brushed a strand of blonde hair from her face as she studied her screens. These readings suggest the planet is rich in stellarite. That's extremely rare. Wright nodded. Stellarite was vital for the new shield technology Earth was developing. Finding a good source would be a major victory for their mission. Any signs of claimed territory? Wright asked. None that I can detect, replied Lieutenant Scott Bennett from the security station. But I am picking up some unusual energy readings deeper in the system. Could be natural, could be artificial. Wright was about to order a closer look when the ship's alert system activated. Commander, a vessel just appeared on our scanners, called out Ensign Kelly Adams. It's big, really big, and it's heading straight for us. The bridge crew fell silent as the approaching ship came into view. It was at least 4 times the size of the Dauntless, with a sleek design that reminded Wright of ancient sea creatures from Earth's oceans. It's Xanthari, Wright said quietly. Everyone knew about the blue-skinned aliens who controlled much of this sector of space. Open a communication channel. The main screen flickered, and a Xanthari officer appeared. Unlike most of his kind, this one had adopted a human name as part of their custom of studying cultures they encountered. This is Captain Gregory Russell of the Xanthari vessel Imminent Dawn, the alien announced. You are trespassing in Xanthari territory. State your purpose or leave immediately. Wright stepped forward. Captain Russell, I'm Commander Daniel Wright of the Earth Alliance vessel Dauntless. According to Galactic Council records, this system is unclaimed. We're on a scientific expedition. Russell's eyes narrowed. The Keldari system has been a Xanthari interest for generations. Your presence here is unwelcome. Dr. Hayes approached Wright and whispered, Commander, I've detected mining operations on the 5th planet. They're extracting stellarite in violation of Galactic Council treaties. Unclaimed systems can't be mined without filing proper notices. Wright nodded slightly, then addressed Russell again. Captain, we've detected mining operations that appear to violate Council regulations. Perhaps we should discuss this matter. Russell's blue skin darkened with anger. You dare to question Xanthari activities. You were warned once. There will not be a second warning. The screen went dark. They've activated weapons systems, Bennett reported, his voice tense. Energy readings are rising fast. Wright took a deep breath. Shields up. Prepare evasive maneuvers, but do not power up our weapons. Record everything. If they fire first, it violates Council law. The Dauntless shuddered as the first energy blast from the Xanthari cruiser struck their shields. Shields at 82%, Bennett called out. Evasive pattern Delta, Wright ordered. Dr. Hayes, how quickly can we adapt our shield frequency to match their weapon signature? Hayes was already working on her console. Give me 2 minutes. Another blast hit them, stronger this time. Shields at 63%, Bennett reported. They're targeting our engines. The ship rocked again. A panel exploded near the back of the bridge, sending sparks flying. I've got it, Hayes exclaimed. Uploading new shield configuration now. The next blast hit them, but instead of draining their shields, the energy seemed to ripple across the Dauntless's hull before shooting back toward the Xanthari ship. On screen, they watched as the returned energy struck the Imminent Dawn, causing several of its weapon ports to explode. Their main weapons are disabled, Bennett announced, sounding surprised. Set course out of the system, maximum speed, Wright ordered. And make sure all our recordings are secured. The Alliance needs to see what happened here. As the Dauntless streaked away, Wright stared at the retreating image of the damaged Xanthari vessel. He had a feeling this encounter was just the beginning of something much larger. Alliance Director Samantha Powell watched the recording from the Dauntless for the 3rd time. The small human ship had not only survived an attack from a Xanthari cruiser, but had managed to disable its weapons. It should have been impossible. Play it again, she said to her assistant. Focus on the shield adaptation. As she studied the footage, the door to her office opened. War Secretary Patrick Monroe walked in, followed by several younger members of the Alliance leadership. "We should send a battle group," Monroe said without greeting. "The Zintheri attacked our ship in neutral space. We can't let that stand." Powell sighed. "We should pursue diplomatic channels first. This could be a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" Monroe laughed coldly. "Their captain explicitly threatened our ship, then fired without provocation. The only message the Zintheri will understand is strength." One of the younger leaders, Defense Coordinator Eric Johnson, nodded eagerly. "The Dauntless showed us their weakness. Their energy weapons can be turned against them. If we strike now, we could secure that entire sector." Powell looked around the room, seeing mostly agreement in the faces of her leadership team. Only Science Director Maria Gonzalez seemed hesitant. "What do you think, Maria?" Powell asked. "The technology Commander Wright's team used was experimental," Gonzalez replied carefully. "We don't know if it will work against their entire fleet, and escalating could lead to a war we're not prepared for." Monroe scoffed. "If we don't respond strongly, the Zintheri will see it as weakness. Next time, it won't be just one ship they attack." Powell turned off the recording. She had decisions to make. Across the galaxy, Admiral Olivia Winters faced her own crisis. The imminent dawn had limped back to Zintheri space with severe damage and a furious Captain Russell. "They reflected our weapons back at us," Russell explained to the gathered military leaders. "One moment we were winning. The next our weapons were exploding." General Benjamin Crawford, the oldest and most respected military leader of the Zintheri, slammed his fist on the table. "This is exactly what makes humans dangerous. They adapt too quickly." Ambassador Nathan Clark, who had just returned from the Galactic Council, tried to calm the situation. "The elders warned us not to challenge them directly. This incident proves they were right." "The elders are old and cautious," Crawford replied dismissively. "They've been in power too long. If we don't check human expansion now, soon they'll be in our core worlds." Admiral Winters looked troubled. "What do you suggest, General?" "A decisive strike," Crawford said. "We target their outpost at Proxima Station. It's their main research facility in this sector. Without it, they'll be forced to pull back." Clark stood up, his face showing alarm. "That would violate multiple treaties. It could start a war." "We are already at war," Crawford insisted. "The humans just don't know it yet." The room fell silent as all eyes turned to Admiral Winters. As the highest-ranking military officer, her decision would carry enormous weight. "Prepare the battle group," she finally ordered. "But I want a plan that minimizes casualties. This is to be a show of force, not a massacre." Clark shook his head sadly. "I must contact the elders. They need to know what's happening. By the time the elders respond, it will be done," Crawford said with satisfaction. As Clark left the room, he sent an urgent message to his contacts on Earth. If diplomacy failed, the coming conflict would change the galaxy forever. The elders' one command about humanity had been ignored, and now everyone would face the consequences. Proxima Station hung in space like a silver wheel, rotating slowly to create gravity for its 5,000 inhabitants. Most of them were scientists and their families, working on new technologies for the Earth Alliance. Commander Diane Foster stood in the control center, reviewing security reports. A former pilot, she had been given command of the station 6 months ago. It was supposed to be a quiet posting. "Commander, we're picking up unusual readings at the edge of our sensor range," reported Security Officer Alan Garcia. Foster moved to his station. "What kind of readings?" "Energy signatures. Multiple vessels dropping out of faster-than-light travel." Garcia looked up with concern in his eyes. "They match Zintheri patterns." Foster's mind raced. Relations with the Zintheri had been tense, but an attack seemed unthinkable. "How many ships?" 7. "No, 9 vessels. One appears to be a dreadnought class." Foster hit the station-wide alert. "All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill." She turned to her communications officer. "Send a message to Earth. Possible Xanthari attack force approaching Proxima Station. Request immediate assistance. They're jamming our long-range communications, the officer replied after trying. We can't get a message out. Foster nodded grimly. They were on their own. Chief Harper to control, came a voice over the internal system. What's going on up there? Mason, we have multiple Xanthari warships approaching, Foster replied. We need every bit of power you can give to the shields. Chief Engineer Mason Harper was silent for a moment. I've been working on a modification to the shield generators. It's experimental, but... Do it, Foster ordered. Whatever it is, we need it now. Throughout the station, civilians moved to the central areas while security personnel rushed to their posts. In the engineering section, Harper and his team worked frantically to implement his shield modifications. The first Xanthari shots hit the station 20 minutes later. The entire structure shook, but the shields held. They're testing us, Foster said. The real attack is coming. On the bridge of the Xanthari dreadnought Inevitable Victory, General Benjamin Crawford watched as his ships positioned themselves around the human station. Their shields are stronger than our intelligence suggested, his weapons officer noted. Concentrate all fire on Section 14, Crawford ordered. Their power distribution node is there. Once it falls, target their weapon systems. The Xanthari fleet fired in unison. Massive energy beams struck the station at the same point. The shields flared brightly, then began to dim. On Proxima Station, warning lights flashed throughout the control center. Shield power dropping, Garcia reported. Section 14 is at 30%. Foster grabbed the communication link. Harper, we're losing the shields. Just 10 more seconds, Harper's voice came back, strained with effort. Activating the modification. Now. The station's shields changed color, shifting from blue to a deep purple. The next volley of Xanthari weapons hit, but instead of weakening the shields further, the energy seemed to be absorbed. What's happening? Foster asked, staring at the readings. The modification is working, Harper replied, excitement in his voice. We're not just blocking their energy, we're capturing it and redirecting it to our own systems. Foster watched in amazement as the station's power levels began to rise. Can we use their energy against them? Yes, Harper said. We're routing to defensive systems now. The station's rarely used defensive lasers powered up, now supercharged with Xanthari energy. When they fired, they cut through the smaller Xanthari vessels with shocking effectiveness. On his dreadnought, General Crawford watched in disbelief as 3 of his ships exploded. Cease fire, he ordered. They're using our own energy against us. But it was too late. The humans had adapted again, turning defense into attack in a way the Xanthari had never imagined possible. Retreat, Crawford finally ordered, his voice bitter with defeat. Back to Xanthari space. As the alien fleet pulled away, Foster allowed herself a small smile. Proxima Station had survived, against all odds. But she knew this was just the beginning of a much larger conflict. The news of the attack on Proxima Station spread quickly through Earth's colonies. People gathered in public spaces to watch reports of how a human research station had defeated a Xanthari battle group. In the main Alliance headquarters on Earth, Director Samantha Powell called an emergency meeting of her leadership team. The Xanthari attacked without warning, she said, her voice tight with anger. We cannot let this stand. War Secretary Patrick Monroe nodded. The time for diplomacy is over. We need to strike back. The room fell silent as Admiral Jason Reeves stepped forward. A veteran of many space missions, he was known for his calm thinking even in crisis. I have a plan, Reeves said. The Xanthari expect us to respond with a direct assault on their forces. Instead, I propose we strike 3 of their outposts simultaneously. He pointed to a map showing Xanthari territory. Here, here, and here. All 3 are within our reach, and they protect key resource routes. Powell studied the map. How would we get past their defenses? After Proxima Station, they'll be expecting our shield technology. That's where I come in, said a new voice. Dr. Allison Carter walked into the room. She led the research team at Earth Defense Research, the most advanced technology center in human space. "We've been working on something new," Carter explained. "We call it phase shift technology. It allows our ships to become partially intangible for brief periods." Carter activated a small device on the table. A cup sitting there suddenly turned transparent, then solid again. "Imagine this on a ship-wide scale," she continued. "We could pass right through their defensive lines, then solidify to attack." Monroe looked impressed. "Is it ready?" "We can outfit Admiral Reeves' ships within 5 days," Carter confirmed. Powell took a deep breath and looked around the room. Every face showed determination. "Prepare the fleet," she ordered. Far across the galaxy, Ambassador Nathan Clark finally reached the Chamber of the Elders. He had traveled for days, desperate to stop the escalating conflict. "You were warned," Elder Mox said before Clark could speak. The command was clear: do not challenge the humans. Clark bowed his head. "Great Elders, the situation has grown worse. General Crawford attacked a human research station. They defeated him, but now the humans are preparing to strike back." Elder Thune's energy form flickered with what seemed like concern. "This is exactly what we feared. When challenged, humans do not back down. They escalate and adapt. Please," Clark begged, "you must intervene before this becomes a full-scale war." The crystalline elder named Mox seemed to shimmer with internal light. "We will send envoys to both species with warnings of severe consequences. But I fear pride and fear have already taken root in both civilizations." As Clark left the chamber, his communication device signaled. He answered to find Admiral Winters looking grim. "Our border sensors have detected unusual activity in human space," she reported. "Their ships are gathering. We believe they're planning an attack." Clark felt a wave of despair. "The Elders are sending envoys with warnings." Winters shook her head. "It may be too late for warnings." At that moment, in 3 different locations along the Zinthuri border, human ships appeared suddenly. Using Dr. Carter's phase shift technology, they passed directly through Zinthuri defensive lines as if they weren't there. On the bridge of the lead ship, Admiral Reeves watched as his vessels solidified inside Zinthuri territory. "Begin the operation," he ordered. The human ships launched their attack, striking with precision at key Zinthuri facilities. Their new technology allowed them to appear and disappear almost at will, making them nearly impossible to hit. In his private office, General Crawford received reports of the attacks with growing rage. The humans had once again adapted faster than expected. They were using technology the Zinthuri had never even imagined. He looked at the secret plans on his desk, designs for a weapon that could end this conflict once and for all. The Elders had forbidden such weapons long ago, but Crawford no longer cared about ancient rules. If humans wanted war, he would give them one they would never forget. Commander Daniel Wright, now captain of the Alliance flagship Resolute, watched as his fleet prepared for what might be the largest battle in human history. 27 ships formed up in the darkness of space, ready to strike deep into Zinthuri territory. "All ships report ready, Captain," said Lieutenant Kelly Adams, now his second in command. Wright nodded. After the success of Admiral Reeves' raids, the Alliance had approved a major offensive. Their target was the Zinthuri military base at Centauri Prime, their largest installation near human space. "Set course and prepare for phase shift," Wright ordered. Before Adams could respond, the ship's systems suddenly flickered. The lights dimmed, then returned to normal. "What was that?" Wright asked. "Unknown, sir," replied the engineer on duty. "All systems show normal, but we had a power fluctuation." Similar reports came in from the other ships. Then, more strangely, the stars ahead of them seemed to dim, as if something was blocking their light. "Navigation is failing," Adams reported, confusion in her voice. "The computer can't identify any star patterns." Wright was about to order a full stop when 3 massive objects appeared in space before their fleet. They were unlike any ships he had ever seen, enormous structures that seemed to be made of both solid matter and pure energy, swirling together in impossible patterns. "Sir," Adams whispered, "those are elder vessels." Wright had never seen an elder ship before. Few had. The ancient beings rarely left their council chambers, and their vessels were thought to be mostly legend. "We're being hailed," Adams said. The main screen activated, but instead of showing a face, it displayed a swirling pattern of light that somehow formed words in Wright's mind rather than his eyes. "Humans," the voice said, seeming to come from everywhere at once. "You have been judged and found wanting." Wright straightened. "This is Captain Daniel Wright of the Earth Alliance. We are responding to Xanthari aggression. They attacked our research station without provocation." "We know all that has transpired," the elder voice replied. "The fault lies not with one side alone, but with the breaking of ancient commands." The ship shuddered as some invisible force held it in place. "You misunderstand why we commanded others not to challenge humanity," the elder continued. "It was not to protect humans. It was to protect other species from humans." Wright felt a chill run down his spine. "I don't understand. In all our millennia of observation, no species has demonstrated humanity's particular mix of ingenuity, tenacity, and capacity for rapid adaptation under threat," the elder explained. "When challenged, you do not merely respond, you evolve. What would take other species generations to develop, you create in days." Images appeared on the screen. Records of the human response to the Xanthari attacks. The shield adaptations at Proxima Station. The phase shift technology. Each innovation more impressive than the last. "Our command was ignored," the elder said. "Now both humans and Xanthari prepare for a war that will devastate your region of space. We cannot allow this." Similar elder vessels had appeared near Earth and the Xanthari homeworld. All communication between the warring parties was being monitored. "What will you do?" Wright asked. "We have sent the truth to your leaders and to the Xanthari. Your people were not meant to be kept weak, but to be given time to outgrow your warlike tendencies before meeting challenges that would force your remarkable adaptation skills to develop too rapidly." The elder vessel began to move away. "Make your choice, Captain Wright. Continue on your path of war and face our intervention, or turn back toward peace and help your species mature." As the elder vessels vanished, the stars returned to normal. Wright sat heavily in his command chair, the weight of the elder's words pressing on him. "Your orders, sir?" Adams asked quietly. Wright stared at the now empty space ahead. "Contact Alliance headquarters. They need to know what just happened." Director Samantha Powell sat in stunned silence as the elder's message ended. Around the table, the Alliance leadership looked equally shocked. The holographic projection had appeared simultaneously in government centers across human space, sharing the same message Captain Wright had received. "Is this some kind of trick?" War Secretary Monroe finally asked. "A Xanthari deception." Science Director Maria Gonzalez shook her head. "Elder technology is unmistakable. This was genuine." Powell tapped her fingers on the table. "They claimed their command wasn't to protect us, but to protect others from us." "It's absurd," Monroe scoffed. "We've never sought conquest. We've only defended ourselves." The door to the chamber opened, and a Xanthari entered. Ambassador Nathan Clark had arrived on Earth just hours earlier, carrying an emergency diplomatic token that allowed him safe passage. "Director Powell," Clark said with a slight bow, "I bring a message from Admiral Winters. She proposes an immediate ceasefire and direct talks between our peoples." Monroe stood up. "After they attacked Proxima Station, they should be surrendering, not offering talks." Clark's expression remained calm. "The elders have shared the same message with our leadership. For the first time in centuries, they've taken direct action in galactic affairs. Neither of our species can afford to ignore this." Powell gestured for Clark to continue. "The elder representative Corin has traveled to Earth to meet with you," Clark said. "They wish to show you something important." 2 hours later, Powell found herself in a secure room with Clark, Admiral Reeves, and Elder Corrin. The Elder's form shifted constantly, sometimes appearing almost human, other times looking like a being made of pure light. "You question why we warned others not to challenge humans," Corrin said, its voice oddly musical. "Let me show you." A three-dimensional projection appeared in the center of the room. It showed another species, tall, insectoid beings with advanced technology. "The Vextor," Corrin explained. 5,000 years ago, they developed along a similar path as humans. Curious, adaptable, inventive. The projection showed the Vextor spreading across hundreds of worlds, developing increasingly powerful weapons and defenses. "Like humans, they evolved most rapidly when challenged," Corrin continued. "Each conflict made them stronger, smarter, more determined." The projection shifted, showing the Vextor defeating species after species, expanding their territory until they dominated a large portion of the galaxy. Then, having no external enemies left, they turned on each other, Corrin said softly. The final images showed Vextor worlds burning, their civilization tearing itself apart in civil war. "This pattern has repeated 12 times in our recorded history," Corrin said. "Species with your particular gifts rise quickly, become dominant, and then self-destruct." Powell swallowed hard. "You're saying we're doomed to the same fate?" "Not necessarily," Corrin replied. "That is why we commanded others not to challenge you, not from fear, but hope. Given time to mature without the pressure of external threats, species like yours can sometimes transcend their violent tendencies." Admiral Reeves leaned forward, "But the Xanthari ignored your command." "As did your General Crawford," Clark added quietly. Powell felt a chill. "What do you mean?" Clark's expression was grim. "Even now, General Crawford is preparing to launch an attack on your homeworld. He believes destroying Earth will end the human threat forever. With our phase shift technology, we would see them coming," Reeves argued. "He has acquired forbidden weapons," Clark said. "Planet killers that can strike from beyond normal space. Not even your new technology could detect them." Powell looked at Corrin. "Will the Elders stop him?" "We have shown both sides the truth," Corrin replied. "What happens next depends on what you do with this knowledge." Powell stood up, determination replacing her shock. "We need to contact Captain Wright immediately, and Admiral Winters. If Crawford is planning what you say, we don't have much time." Captain Daniel Wright stared at the message from Earth with growing horror. General Crawford had stolen 3 planet-killer weapons from a sealed Xanthari vault. Now he was heading toward Earth with a rogue fleet. "How long until they reach Earth?" Wright asked his communications officer. "Based on their last known position, 10 hours, she replied. Wright turned to Lieutenant Adams. "Set course for the Xanthari homeworld, maximum speed." Adams looked confused. "Sir, Earth is in the opposite direction." "I know," Wright said grimly. "But we're not going to save Earth by heading there. Crawford expects that. We need to go where he doesn't expect us." As the Resolute changed course, Wright opened a channel to the rest of his fleet. "This is Captain Wright. I've received disturbing news from Earth. General Crawford plans to use forbidden weapons against our homeworld." He paused, knowing his next words would shock his crew. "We're setting course for the Xanthari homeworld. Not to attack, but to defend it. Crawford must pass near there on his way to Earth. We'll intercept him there." Across the fleet, human crews looked at each other in confusion. Defend their enemies. But as Wright explained Crawford's plan, they understood. This was no longer about humans versus Xanthari. It was about preventing a genocidal act that would forever mark humanity as exactly the kind of threat the Elders feared. Hours later, the human fleet arrived at the Xanthari homeworld. As expected, they were immediately surrounded by Xanthari defense ships. "We're being hailed," Adams reported. The screen activated to show Captain Gregory Russell, now in command of the Xanthari Home Defense Fleet. "Captain Wright," Russell said coldly, "you have entered Xanthari sovereign space with a battle fleet. Explain yourself, or be destroyed. Captain Russell, we come to warn you, Wright replied. General Crawford has gone rogue. He's stolen planet killer weapons and plans to use them against Earth. But to reach Earth, he must pass through this sector. Russell's expression showed disbelief. You expect me to believe you brought your fleet here to protect us? Scan our ships, Wright said. Our weapons are powered down. We're here because Crawford must be stopped, for all our sakes. Before Russell could respond, new alarms sounded. Crawford's fleet had arrived, dropping out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Target the human fleet, Crawford's voice boomed across all channels. Any Xanthari vessels that interfere will be destroyed. Wright turned to Adams. Power up weapons. Target Crawford's ships only. On the screen, Russell watched in shock as the human fleet moved to position itself between Crawford and the Xanthari homeworld. What are you doing, Wright? Crawford demanded. Those blue-skinned aliens are our enemies. No, General, Wright replied firmly. The only enemy here is hatred. Stand down your fleet. Crawford laughed. I have weapons that can destroy planets. Your shields cannot stop them. Then you'll have to go through us to use them, Wright said. Crawford's fleet opened fire, and to the Xanthari's amazement, the human vessels returned fire, defending Xanthari space against their own kind. The battle was fierce but brief. Crawford had not expected to fight fellow humans. His ships, though powerful, were outnumbered by the combined forces of Wright's fleet and the Xanthari defenders who, after initial hesitation, joined the fight. When Crawford's flagship was disabled, the remaining rogue vessels surrendered. In orbit above the Xanthari homeworld, Captain Wright met face-to-face with Captain Russell on a neutral station. The elder vessels had returned, watching silently. Why? Russell asked simply. Why defend us after all that's happened? Wright looked out at the stars. Because the elders were right about us. We adapt, we evolve, but we get to choose what we become. He turned back to Russell. Today we chose to be protectors rather than destroyers. Perhaps that's the real evolution we needed. As the two captains continued talking, the elder vessels began to depart. Their command had been broken, but in doing so, both species had found something more valuable than obedience: understanding.